I'm back with a great update. So I'm going to start off with we're going to just talk about the prior authorization. Um, if you don't know me, my name is Taisha. I have been on Zepbound for 80 weeks. And all right, so I have Tricare for life. And I want to say it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, I found out at the end of one of my Monday live streams that Tricare for life was stopping coverage of GLP-1 medications in relation to weight loss, right? So if you were on it for that reason, my understanding was that it was going to be dropped. So what I did immediately after I got off the stream is I called Express Scripts. That's who my PBM is. If you're not familiar with that, that's a pharmacy benefit manager. So they handle my medications, right? And if I need a prior authorization, that's who I go through. So I gave them a call. The rep that I got, um, I was like, hey, I just found out that coverage is going to be dropped on the 31st of August. And I just wanted to find out if I'm affected because I haven't received anything. I haven't gotten anything in the mail. I didn't get an email, nothing. Right. And the lady said, um, coverage is, I'm trying to remember exactly verbatim, but let's say whatever she said, it was twice. Right. So first she said, um, if it's for weight loss, it's no longer going to be covered. Okay, that's cool. So I said to her again, um, well, I haven't received anything. And mine wasn't just for weight loss. Like I had a comorbidity. And she said, if it's for weight loss, then it's not going to be covered. I don't know why I made my face like this. It's not like I could see her. So that was it. It wasn't like she went into my file and said, hey, you're going to be this, it's going to be discontinued for you. That was all she gave me. So I got off the phone. All right. So immediately I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? I had options, right? My options were going to be to to see if I could get it, covered again, um, to see if I could get it through the VA. And then the third option was just going to be to go through the vials. I know that compound is an option. That's not an option that I want to go with. So that's those were my three options as far as I was concerned. So I reached out to my doctor's office. I sent the message in my chart just explaining what was going on. And then when I went into Express Scripts, I noticed that my prior authorization had already expired on the 8th. So I was already past that. Like I didn't have coverage and didn't even realize it, right? So they told me when it was time to, the message that I got back from the nurse was when it was time to refill my prescription to just go ahead and send it through. And then Walgreens would kick something back to them. So it wasn't time until last week. So I submitted it, sent it in. And of course, it got kicked back. And so the nurse said they were going to go ahead and forward it over to their prior authorization team. All right. I'm excited. So this is last Monday. Last week, Monday? No, this Monday. This Monday. Last week. Okay. Today is Sunday, August 31st. All right. For whoever's watching this, if you're not watching it on this day. So I was kind of excited, a little nervous, just like wanting to see how it came back. Well, I get an email at like 5 something that day, and it said I was denied. And I was just, I was just like, oh man, this sucks. So then I looked at the reason and it said that my BMI wasn't high enough. And I was just like, why would it still be high? Right? I've been on this medication now for 18 months. So of course I called because that's who I am, right? I called and I was just like, I would like to be transferred to the prior authorization department. The person was like, well, maybe I can help you. I said, I would like to be transferred to the prior authorization department. Thank you. So they transferred me and the guy was really, really nice. And he said, he was looking it up and he said, oh, when it asks the question that asks if you've been on the if the patient has been on the medication in the past 6 months, the person answered no. So that automatically disqualified me. And I'm like, I said, well, sir, I can see online that I've been getting this medication. Are you guys able to see that? But I understood where he was coming from. The that team is not doing all of that. They're going based off of the information that is provided by the doctor's office. So, of course, I'm finding this out at the end of the business day. So I called over. I still called and I got, their answering service, and I was just like, I'm not understanding how the answer was no, and I've been on this medication for 18 months, but I need this to be redone. I also took it a step further and sent the message in my chart, again, being completely polite, but just, hey, this is what needs to be done. So the nurse got back to me the next morning and she apologized. She said she forwarded it to their team and said she doesn't think that they're always as thorough as they need to be, but that she was going to personally take care of it for me. So let's fast forward. I got approved. She resubmitted it and I was approved. So I'm good for another year. And that was a relief. My whole purpose for going through this long, drawn out story is to let you know if you were denied, it is worth it to call. Call somebody, do what you need to do because it could very well be that someone just didn't do what they were supposed to do. Now, it's also possible that you're just not going to have coverage. I do recognize that. But um, my advice to you is to keep on it, especially if you know you've had these significant changes. You met the criteria when you first got on it. So for me, because I wasn't at a BMI of 30 when I started, I had to have another comorbidity listed. And mine was obstructive sleep apnea. So that was already in the system. That was a non factor when it came time for me to submit this again. The question that they wanted to know if I'd been on it for the last 6 months. So, of course, my answer was yes. So that was a qualifier. The next thing was, have I lost 20% of my body weight, which I have? I believe I'm at 31%. So I met the criteria. So I don't want anyone to be under this illusion that there was some kind of tricky business going on. There wasn't. Um, I met the criteria, so I get to stay on it. So advocate for yourself. You have to fight for yourself. Okay. Now, now that we've gotten that cleared away, if you were here for that, now you know. My name is Taisha. I have been on Zepbound for 80 weeks. I started off at 2.5 milligrams. That was considered, and if you go on Lily's website, a starter dose. I know that people maintain on it, but that's the dose I started on. And because it was considered a starter dose, my doctor already had it set for me to go up to 5, right? So I went to 5 the next month, and I've been on 5 this entire time, minus a couple of weeks several months ago where we tried to go down to 2.5. That didn't really work out well for me. So 5 is going to be my maintenance dose and it works just well. I'm able to eat. Um, I'm able to do everything. I've not had any side effects this entire time, and I'm truly thankful for that. I have made lifestyle changes. And when I went into this journey, I told myself I was doing things differently this time. I have not struggled with weight my entire life. I have had eating issues my entire life, but I haven't struggled with weight my entire life. That happened in my early 30s, where things just started to continue to accumulate. And I didn't have, good habits. I just didn't. I didn't move my body consistently. Whenever I would incorporate some sort of movement, it was with a goal in mind, right? Well, I want to look like this, so I'm doing this. It was never about health or doing something because it's good for me, right? There was always some sort of goal that was superficial and never anything that just I was never able to stay consistent with it. So, what I decided to do this time differently was everything, right? I didn't look at it as, okay, I'm going to be on this medication and I'm going to get to this weight. And then all of a sudden, life is going to be great. Because in 2020, I had gotten up to my highest weight of 216 pounds, transitioned to a vegan diet. Now, I didn't transition to the vegan diet to eat, to lose weight. It was because all right. Wait, let me touch on something really quick. On August 27th, so August 27th, 2020, I had a procedure done. So I had an endoscopy and a colonoscopy. And they also did a biopsy of my liver because I had non alcoholic fatty liver disease. And I had some other issues going on. and it was because of poor diet and not taking care of myself. I'm just going to go ahead and recap it and make this long story short. I ended up with internal bleeding, and I was in the hospital initially for 7 days, and then I went back for another couple of days. But after that, that is when I made a decision to do something different. Now, I ended up losing 80 something pounds, right? And over years, I gained it all back. So I had a health scare, which prompted me to make some changes, but then I ended up reverting over time. And I've done some videos recently. Um, I'll link them in the description that explain why. I really felt like a failure. Like, I did all that work just to go back to how I was before. Now, when I made that transition to becoming a vegan, it had nothing to do with, "I'm doing this to lose weight." I'm an ethical vegan. It's everything about the animals, and that's what it's about for me. So, I am fully aware that you can be an unhealthy vegan because that's exactly what I was. So, when I started Zepbound last year in February, I switched to a whole food plant-based diet, and that's a lifelong thing for me. That's my primary source of nutrition. I also decided to drink water. That was something that I was kinda lacking in before. I already consumed a lot of fluids, but that was sweet tea, energy drinks, lattes, those kind of things. And I stopped drinking alcohol, I believe that was in 2023. So, switching to drinking that much water was easy. And I used to be in the Zepbound subreddit a lot, and I saw where people were complaining of having issues from coffee. I recognize that's not what everybody has, but seeing that, I saw it enough where I was like, okay, when I finally get my medication, I'm just going to stop drinking it. Plus, I was consuming way too much caffeine on a regular basis anyway. So that's where I am. I started strength training 2 weeks into my journey, and I have been consistent with that. Now, in June, towards the end of June, I went on a cruise. So that week I didn't strength train, and the 2 weeks following that, I didn't. So in this entire journey, I've only skipped 3 weeks, and that was at one time. After that, I decided I wanted to get back in the gym. So I'm working with coaches, and I've been doing that. And I go 3 days a week, and that's working for me. Something else that I've done in this last, I think we're at 7 or 8 weeks now, is yoga. And that's been really nice. And I think that helps me with, first of all, it's helping me get centered and balanced, but it also helps me with recovery. I notice I'm not sore or achy or some of those things that I would experience, when strength training before. What else? I started incorporating electrolytes, and that was something that was suggested by my coach. I know I interchanged coach and trainer, coach. So my coach suggested that with the amount of sweating that I do when I work out. So I've been doing that, and that's been going well. I don't take it, and I'm using Element. I don't take that every day. I really just mix it up before my workout, and I'm drinking it throughout. So that's been working for me. As far as supplements go, I take creatine, and the brand that I use is Thorn. You can find that on Amazon. I'll have a link in the description. If you don't want to click the link, that's totally fine. It's Thorn, Thorne, and I'll probably put that up there. Yeah. So that's what I have, and I started that on December 12th, 2024, and when I started working with a coach, she said there were benefits for doing 10 grams. So instead of doing 5 grams, I do 2 scoops, and that's been working well for me. I know that people complain about, you know, water retention and all of that. I have not noticed it. I should say that. I'm also not someone who gets on the scale every day. I'm not motivated by the scale. I was when I first started. That was what I was looking forward to. Now, their weight was going down really quickly, and I have another video about that. that I did actually last week about my DEXA scan. That is what prompted me to stop staying so focused on the scale because I lost a lot of muscle in the beginning, and that's because I wasn't eating enough. So, my advice to you, this needs to be a whole total approach, right? In order for this to be sustainable, it needs to be a total approach. You're taking the shot. That's great. It's going to help with a lot of different things, especially if you're someone who struggles with inflammation and other issues. Those were some of my struggles as well. It also gave me space to be able to make better choices. Does that mean that that everything's going to be perfect and you're never going to make a bad choice? Absolutely not. But it helps. It helps a lot. And I know for me, this is the only thing that has silenced the food noise. And that is not a buzzword, it's a real thing. And that is something that I learned about in therapy in 2020. So that has been silenced for me, and it makes it easier for me to make better choices. And I feel like I'm not constantly thinking about what am I going to eat next? It's just, oh no, it's time for me to eat. It's more like that than the opposite. And I'll take it because, again, even though I didn't struggle with weight my entire life, food noise has been there since I was a kid. That's a fact for me. So, anyway, that's enough about that. Moving, movement. Find a form of movement that you enjoy. I am always going to say strength training. That is good for you. That doesn't mean you have to go out and buy, all these really heavy weights. You don't have to do that. You can get the bands, you can do body weight exercises, calisthenics, walking is good for you, right? If you're someone that doesn't want to do anything else, start off with that. And you don't have to start off walking miles and miles. Do what you can. Do what you can. So I think, listen, I think that's it. I think that's it. I think that's all I want to talk about today. So the prior authorization, we're good for another year. Yay! I am going to continue what I've been doing. Oh, I know what I have. Maintenance is not a destination. Okay. You need to be thinking about the things that I'm doing right now. Because I know there are a lot of people that are not even close to maintenance yet. But I want you to know that what you're doing now, that's going to be a part of your maintenance journey. The only thing that changed for me, I eat more calories. So I'm not in a calorie deficit like I was in the beginning and until I got to maintenance. So that is the difference. I'm still strength training regularly. I'm still drinking my water. I'm still eating a whole food plant based diet, prioritizing those things, right? That is going to still continue in maintenance. So I don't want you to think about maintenance as a destination. That's just another chapter. That's just another part of the process. This is a lifelong journey, and you want to look at it as a health, a wellness journey, right? And that's encompassing our mental, that's important because a lot of these habits, we've been doing them for years, and it is going to take time. Not a week, not 2 weeks, not a month. It is going to take months and months and months of consistency because a lot of us, we've been doing this for years. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop it now. Um, there will be no live stream tomorrow because we will be out of town going to see System of a Down. I'm super stoked. That's my favorite band, all time favorite. So, anyway, I will close with this. Remember, we can share our journeys, but we should never compare them. Bye.